Hello and good evening to you all for a slightly late damage check, but if you're listening to the VOD later on, it doesn't really matter. I am Fjord, and to my screen right, nope, screen left, something like that, is my good friend HP. HP, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I forgot to change the stream title. Not that that matters. I think I can get Sirens to do that. But I'm doing fantastic. I saw your Destiny playage there. That's a very
Yeah.
interesting thing that you guys do, and I kind of cherish that. I think that's something very fun to do every year.
Yeah, for anybody who didn't know, I just actually got off a stream doing a Destiny clan PvP tournament. We do them pretty much like every other season, pretty much. And they're a really good time most of the time. I usually have fun just getting the chance to play in a almost like more controlled environment because we ban specific maps and ban like some of the more broken stuff at the time, so it makes it a little bit funner for us. It makes so that we don't have as many of those unfun mechanics that sometimes Destiny has linger around for a while in PvP.
Right.
And I still want to. We did one Gambit tournament once, and everyone had a great time. Haven't been able to get enough people together since to do another Gambit tournament. Because that's just the way of Gambit.
Right.
But HP, why don't you tell me what you've been playing?
Okay, so I have a couple interesting things this time.
Okay, cool.
So I did jump back on Asgard's Wrath. I wasn't going to, but I was like, nothing's going on right now. I'm gonna make good on my promise to Ford. And so I played it a little bit. It is better this time around. It is better because I've already gotten through the tutorial, and like anyone, if you hadn't heard, Asgard's Wrath, the first hour or so is pretty much not playing. It's just listening to people talk and then kind of like a basic VR tutorial. But it was a lot better this time around. I did play for about another hour and definitely started to get sick, so I had to turn it off.
Unfortunate.
It's a lot. Like I am not one to really get a lot of motion sickness, but now that I'm thinking about it, I do a little bit. Or now that I'm more into it, so I do a little bit. I don't get. It's not too crazy. I get a little hot and a little nauseous. It's all minor, but when you stack it all on top of each other, I have to quit. But it was very fun. A lot of the things that happen in the game, or that kind of like integrate with the VR, feel very intuitive. So if you have a VR, I think it's worth checking out. So far, it's pretty good.
Okay.
I feel like they have too much of an. I don't mind this, but like I feel like if you were to play this on a controller, you'd be like, this game is kind of boring. So it's really just the VR experience that makes it very fun. And there's a little bit too much RPG element to it so far. Like it like has me level up, and I don't mind that. That's fine. I really like if they want me to engage a lot more, I want to engage. So you can throw your weapon, you can recall it, you can block, you can parry, all that kind of stuff. Very good, very intuitive. I'm just not a fan of the leveling up and RPG elements of it, but I know that some people would be, so definitely worth it. The other games, obviously, I've been playing Sea of Stars, and I'm just probably a little over halfway.
What was the last thing you did? Without major spoilers, I guess.
I don't really remember. I think just after well, I can't say because it'd be spoilers, I guess, but
the town,
the first major plot twist.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know roughly where we're at then. Okay, sweet. Yeah, you're probably about halfway. I'd say maybe a little over.
Okay,
so I still need to beat it. I like I said, I'm at the point where I can go to the final place. But I want to go complete all the other things so I can get the better ending or whatever it might be. I only vaguely know that there's some different endings, but I don't know if any of them are actually all that much better.
Right. And then Prince of Persia, we played that on stream a little bit, and I didn't play it this week actually, but it's still a great game. And then we played some ranked league, and tonight actually after stream we're gonna play some Gears 5.
Gears 5, interesting. What brings that on?
Just a buddy had started playing it, and I used to be a Gears fanatic. I used to love Gears so much. I've played all of them, except for like Tactics and stuff, those spin-off sides. But other than that, yeah, I love Gears of War, and it's on Game Pass, so I just wanted to check it out again. feel like there's something
There you
else
go.
I'm missing that I did play. Obviously, some more PALWORLD, but we're beyond that. It's at this point we know it's a good game, and we have some news about PALWORLD in the doc today, so we'll be talking about that. What else did you play this week?
This week, obviously, like I said, I just got done playing some Destiny for a tournament. But really, I played some Power World, and did some more of that side stuff on Sea of Stars so I can get closer to beating that. But other than that, the only other major thing that I played was on stream, and that's Yakuza 0. And let me tell you, dude, Yakuza 0's really fucking good. It's Oh, I get it. I get why people obsess over these games and get so into them. Like the story is, I'm there's 17 chapters in the game. I've only beaten chapter 1 and I am in, dude. I am so into this world and into these characters and into everything that's happening. It's insane how in such a short amount of time, like the writing's just so good that even in situations where you maybe don't understand everything that's going on or all like the things that are happening, it is so good at just building that tension and making it feel like, from a storytelling perspective, you're like, oh, there's no way he's going to take this deal. But the writing is so good that when you're in the scene and, he's all like, there's a deal getting offered or, something's happening in the scene, like you believe it could go either way. You're like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe you do take this or maybe you do go do this and everything. And
So it gives you options with a purpose, almost.
no, there are no options. The story
okay.
plays
It's
through,
linear.
but it is linear. But like, for example, there, without any major spoilers, a guy's basically like, look, I'll cut you a deal. If you do this thing, these bad things won't happen to you, essentially. Like, he's like, oh, if you just help me with this, I'll make sure those bad things kind of go away and don't come down on you. But if you don't take this deal, that bad stuff's gonna hit you. And the tension is so good that you're really going like, I don't know, man. Maybe you take this deal. Like this bad stuff is gonna be bad, man. Like I don't know how you're gonna get out of this. And so it's just really good at building up like character stakes and making you feel like all these cutscenes matter. There's not a single cutscene so far that I've had that has not mattered to almost an insane degree. I'm incredibly impressed with this game. I legitimately don't know if I've seen better writing in long form writing, at least I'd say in a game like this.
Interesting.
The combat is pretty good. It's like a beat 'em up, but it's starting to introduce some more things that is making it more interesting. But I wouldn't say the combat's anything that I'm like, oh, like I have to get back into that combat. It's so good, but it's pretty good. It honestly, it reminds me of Sifu, if you remember that from about 2 years ago or so, where it's kind of like Kung Fu John Wick. And
I don't think I've seen it.
This game kind of reminds me of that, where I'm like, damn, I'm kind of feeling like John Wick right now, going up through this building, just beating up all these guys and everything.
I don't think that's my style of gameplay, but when I was watching you, I was like, this is like a. I mean, it's cool that it has a really good story, but in terms of the gameplay, probably not my vibe. But I was like, this is kind of a game that you would be just kicking it on and just feeling good because you feel like a badass.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, you definitely feel like a badass. My boy Kiryu is he's him. He's the guy. I fucking love the main character. I'm so excited to keep going through this series. I mean, if we're starting out this strong, I can only imagine that we get better and better. And yeah, that's pretty much most of what I've been playing. I don't think I really picked up anything incredibly new this week.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. And with that, I would like to ask you a couple of questions.
Uh-oh.
It is quiz time,
It's
baby.
quiz time.
Yeah, we decided since we're going to kind of pack up this show with a lot of news, because let me tell you, we got a lot of news today, guys. We have a little bit of fun in the beginning before we start getting into a whole bunch of crazy news that's probably going to have a lot of hot takes going everywhere. And so we'll just kind of cool off real quick with a little bit of a quiz. It's going to be similar to AHP's original game, his little sound quiz, but instead of just doing sound effects, I've got a couple of songs that I've thrown in there, and then I've also got gameplay that I'm going to play, and I want you to tell me what game that gameplay is from.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
so
Now, do I show this gameplay on stream? Because I don't know. I didn't set up for that.
I would not. I would
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not do that. Maybe next time we can do that. Well, like I said, we're building the show. We're working on it. So I'll ask you first. Do you want gameplay, or do you want a sound clip, or do you want a song?
Let's do a sound clip first. We'll go into that.
Okay. Let me make sure I get the time right. Okay, right about there. Oh, nope, a little bit back. Okay, yeah, right about here. So this is the voice line, which will become very apparent, and I need you to tell me who says this voice line.
Okay. Instantly know from just the creaking. So we can. I'll let it play
All right, what
out.
is it?
But I just love the instantly know that because that is my boy Fiddlesticks from League of Legends.
That is
That is
Fiddlesticks from League of Legends.
Side note for HP here, that is one of my favorite voices in League of Legends. When they reworked him to be more scary instead of silly, done. I was all in. Just hearing the lantern creak takes me back to when they first released that trailer of the new rework, and it is so creepy. He's very twitchy movements, and he runs down the hallway, or not the hallway, but it's like it's a campfire. But they see him in the distance, and he just and he runs at him. It's so good, and I love that. So yeah, that is my boy Fiddlesticks for sure.
One of the better, I feel like, reworks that they've done, especially from like a thematic and kind of like lore perspective. I think they did a great job.
Yes.
Okay, again, sound clip, song, or gameplay.
Throw me a wild card. I'll just you go. Or you know what? Go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Music.
Music. Okay, cool.
Alright, okay. This is the. I don't remember. I've only played this once. So bear with me on the names of these. But I know it's from Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm assuming it's from the first level.
It is from the first level. Do you know what the level is?
I don't because I only played it once, so I do not remember.
That's fine.
I do not remember the name of the first level. I can guess it would be like Crispy Woods or something like that.
Crispy Woods. Yeah, you still get the points. I didn't expect you to get the level necessarily, but yeah, that is Mumbo's Mountain, and that is the first level of the game. So fantastic job.
Crispy Woods.
I mean, Crispy Woods.
That's a good guess because you know that's in a game somewhere.
I don't know if it is. Crispy Woods. Is it like a forest on fire?
I don't know. I was thinking of like crunchy leaves. I don't know.
Oh. All right, let's do all right, sound clip, gameplay, or song.
I'm gonna do the gameplay all stuff last, but we'll go with sound clip. We'll alternate.
Oh, hold on, didn't mean to play that. All right, sound clip. We're gonna start right here. That's it.
Do I know this? Do you know I know this?
100%. 100%.
Why does that sound? It does sound familiar. Play it. Can I play it one more time?
Yeah.
I know this. I know I know this.
I know you know it as well.
I'm trying to listen to every effect, and that time I listened to more of the bubbly sound, the blip, blip.
Okay, so do you want a hint?
Yeah, give me the smallest hint. Otherwise, play it again.
The smallest hint. Okay, I'll play it again, and then if you still can't get it, I'll give you the tiniest hint.
It is from Destiny.
It is from Destiny.
It's like Promethean lens or something. Hang on. I know that sound because I use this.
Yep. In fact, here's your hint. You'd use it very often during a damage check.
It's Divinity. I knew.
Divinity,
That's why I said
baby.
Promethean Winds. I was thinking of the.
I was like, you're so close.
I can't even
right
remember
there.
what those are even called right now because I'm so out of it.
Trace rifle.
Trace rifles, correct? Yeah. I was like, linear fusion? No, that's the power weapon. Yes, that is Divinity. Yeah, I know that because I'm. But see, mine sounds a little bit different. I don't hold it. I go beep 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 beep.
That's that's true.
Yeah,
if I would have.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm almost out of sound clips. I've got one more sound clip. Do you want to knock that out?
Yeah, we'll knock that out.
Okay.
That is a little nondescript, but I feel it. Huh. And again, I know this, right?
I know you know this. I know you've played this game at least.
Wait, one more time. I'm gonna shot in the dark, and then I'll take a hint because I'm probably wrong.
Okay.
Valheim?
No, but you're kind of in the realm. It is I didn't come up with a hint for this one. It is a game that you hated the multiplayer system of.
That's a lot of games. But I liked it otherwise.
You liked it otherwise.
Oh,
you just said, "Man, I almost and quote, I really hope they fix this in the next one."
Wow, you know HP better than I know HP. Why am I? I don't know. I'm gonna have to take the L on that one.
So I'll give you one more hint. I can either tell you the game that it's from, and you tell me what the sound is of, or I can tell you what the sound is of, and you tell me what game it's from.
What would you be more impressed with?
If you can tell me, about equal, honestly.
Okay, tell me the sound, and I'll tell you the game. I'll try.
The sound is the sharpening of a greatsword with the whetstone.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Specifically, a great sword.
Specifically, a great sword.
You can also be found sharpening things such as a long sword, a gun lance, a charge blade.
Oh my god, it's just blanking me.
The game. Do you want me to tell you?
Oh, it's I know it's not the multiplayer. It's the co-op function. Are you speaking? Is this Monster Hunter?
This is Monster Hunter. There you go. Yeah. Monster Hunter World specifically. Yes.
So yeah,
correct.
Multiplayer threw me off. I'm like Fortnite.
All right, I should have said co-op. Yeah, that's my bad.
No, that's fine. That's still multiplayer by definition. I was just thinking, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
All right, so now all you got is you've got gameplay or you've got music.
Let's do music. I'll do gameplay last, so I don't have to look at the screen every now and then. So this is clearly the composer that does Zelda. But I am not familiar with this exact melody.
I know that you're familiar with this melody, or at least I know you've played what it's from.
I mean, it's 100% a Zelda title because you can hear it. You can hear it in the instruments.
It is a Zelda title.
I'm gonna say it's from Majora's Mask.
Incorrect. It is from Ocarina of Time.
I was gonna say Ocarina. That's the same game.
And I'm assuming you can't tell me the name of it.
No, because I'm assuming it would have to be something later in the game because I don't. It's not as iconic as like Hyrule Field.
Yeah, it's one of your Ocarina songs that you can play. It is the Bolero of Fire, which teleports you to the Fire Temple.
Fair.
Okay. More music, yes?
Yeah.
All right.
I love this. These are deep cuts.
This is a tougher one.
Trying to hit the melody because the bass is pretty generic.
I don't know if you get much more melody.
I'm in the space. I feel this game. I don't know. The only thing that's coming to my head is Doom, but it's wrong.
Does it fill you with this specific type of feeling?
Panic. Or dread.
Perhaps
a feeling of dread. Is it Metroid Dread?
It's Metroid Dread title thing, baby.
Wow, that was a fantastic hint. Considering it did make me feel like I was panicked or dread. Dread was the first word that came to my mind, and then I was like, "Is it Metroid Dread?" It did sound.
That was my hope. Yeah,
it did sound very Metroid. That very good. That's fun.
Really, I think that's very Metroid. One thing I do love about the Metroid.
It did, yeah.
Oh, it did. Oh, I thought you said it didn't sound very.
No, it did. It really did.
Now this one is more of a long shot, where I don't think this is like in the gamer's zeitgeist. So I won't hold this one against you if you know. I know you have not played it, but I wonder if you have at least heard it and can tell me, oh yeah, that's the thing from the thing.
Well, that's how I felt when I gave you the Undertale Megalovania, because everyone knows it, but not everyone's played it. So
similar thing here.
Okay.
Yeah, similar thing here. So.
Is this Final Fantasy VII?
It is not Final Fantasy VII, but it is a Final Fantasy.
Then I wouldn't know. I just know the melodies of and the similar like keys to Final Fantasy games.
They definitely have like a sound font to them, where they all kind of have the same thing. Yes, it is Final Fantasy X, and it is one of the primary themes to Xanarkand.
Yeah, I would have never gotten the game unless it was 7.
All right, so last two.
Not too bad there.
Whoa, not too bad. No, you got it in Final Fantasy, which I'm still pretty happy with. So last two are now gameplay.
Okay. You want me to switch over and look now? Making sure.
Well, no. It's still the sound of gameplay.
Oh, so you're gotcha. Okay.
You're gonna hear the gameplay, and you're gonna tell me what game it is.
Okay.
All right.
Celeste. 100% easy. Like the sound alone, the sound font, just that whoa whoa whoa. Like done.
Easy. God, he's a god gamer,
and that
everybody.
spring is a little I wouldn't just say generic, but it's so just umbrella spring, you know. But but once I heard that whoa 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 whoa, like that's 100% Celeste.
All right, this is kind of a bunch of clips of gameplay. But yeah, it should work out okay.
That's the chainsaw from Gears of War.
There's a chainsaw from Gears of War. There you go. Damn, he is a gameplay guys. He is a gameplay guy, guys. The funny thing is you brought up that Gears of War thing, and I was like, damn, that's kind of coincidental. Gears of War in here. Fantastic job, my friend. Fantastic.
That's it. That's so fun, man.
That's it.
That is so
That's
fun.
it.
We got to do this more. I love this so much.
Me too. I absolutely love it. And with that, it's now time to get into still the fun stuff. There's still a lot of fun stuff to go
we
over.
had some fun news, but we also had some very depressing news for you guys.
Yeah,
this week.
we got a kind of a mixed bag this week. So let's go ahead and get started with it. I'll just kind of start going down the list. So this one is actually very interesting because I have some actually big thoughts on this. New Lego leak claims a Legend of Zelda set is coming soon. And this is very interesting because I don't know if you know the history of like Lego sets leaking, but they almost tell the future in a lot of ways. And so before we even get into it, I want to hit you with my hypothesis. To me, this confirms Ocarina of Time remake coming with the Nintendo Switch 2 this year.
It's you're on the right. I don't know if it's that specifically, but it could be. They've already done it once on the DS, so maybe not. They don't want a third one, maybe. I would say either Majora's...
Oh, they want a third one.
Okay. I would say either Majora's Mask or just in general, you're right, no matter what it is. Whether it's a new Zelda title or just a remake that they want to sell, because that does make sense. It's a marketing ploy, right? It makes sense to be a marketing ploy. I'm with that.
100%. There's no way they're just like, yeah, we're just going to come out with a Zelda set with nothing surrounding it. And so I'm like, it's definitely going to be surrounding it. And I think, well, because specifically I should actually bring up the Lego set leaked was the Great Deku Tree. And so I'm like,
well, then there you go. Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Legend of Zelda.
Unless it could just be a re-advertisement for Tears of the Kingdom, because I mean, the Deku Tree is in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
That's fair. It could be. I think it'll...
Or Tears of the Kingdom DLC, which they've already denied, so...
Actually, and I don't even know if you put this in here, but I actually saw some other news that apparently Miyamoto and... I always forget his name, but the current Zelda guy who kind of got handed the reins...
It's like Izaki, right? Or no? That's somebody else. Hang
on. But they got spotted walking around Universal... Hollywood and Universal Orlando.
Takashi Tezuka.
They got spotted walking around Universal Hollywood and Orlando, and so people are like, Zelda Land, maybe. Which I think would be really, really cool. I'm sure it's only a matter of time until it happens. Now that Zelda has kind of entered the zeitgeist with Breath of the Wild.
Well, well, I mean, Mario. It's not Mario Land right now. We have Nintendo Land. It's total. So they could just add a what are they called?
That was called the Mushroom Kingdom. Is it not just Mario specific? I thought it was the Mushroom Kingdom.
It is mostly Mario, but it is called Nintendo Land.
Oh, so, interesting.
So they could add an attraction is the word I'm looking for. They could add a Zelda attraction. And it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. It is mostly Mario. I mean, Mario is the baby and like kind of father of Nintendo.
Number one thing they have to have, though, if they're going to do a Zelda attraction or a Zelda Land or whatever it might be, they got to have a photo op with the Master Sword and the pedestal. Like that's number one.
That is
that's number
uno.
one.
Yes, 100%. That is genius. An Excalibur photo op.
Yeah, basically, like, you can do the whole, like, grabbing it with the two hands, pulling it up.
And the Deku behind you,
Bro.
And you're holding... Oh my god. And it even talks, Link, pull the sword. Yeah, that would be so... Oh my god. You're a genius.
That'd be crazy.
You are a genius. You're a madman.
Hire me, Nintendo. What's up?
I don't think they would like what you say about some of their games.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think I'd be a great head of Nintendo, honestly. I don't think they need my advice.
Come on into the Zelda attraction. It's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. It's an adventure, I guess. That's all I had to say about the Lego leak, though.
I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I wouldn't even have thought of it. I was just like, yeah, Lego, but of course it's a marketing ploy. You're absolutely right.
Man, let me just say, though, if it is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I'm fucking back, baby. Let's go. Bust out that Switch 2. Let's get it going.
I would hope it wouldn't just be a revamp, and I would hope it would be a reimagining.
I feel like that's... we haven't gotten that from them yet, and so I feel like that's almost a bridge too far. But I mean, not that I wouldn't be down, but I just don't know if they will.
I wouldn't say make it exactly Breath of the Wild. Don't make it open world. Still keep it linear, but give me this like closer. Give me that Twilight Princess style. Give me that. I wouldn't say grittiness, but give me a little bit better combat. Make it not to where make me be able to kind of jump on my own, similar to Breath of the Wild, not the walk forward off a cliff and it auto jumps. Like make it a little, just spice it up a little bit. Make it modern. It doesn't need to be because it's a very good game and it holds up on its own. It really does. But I don't think changing the fundamentals of the gameplay changes the experience because the game is what it is. I mean, when you hit that Bolero of Fire, when you hit those all these different ocarina songs, and that world-rich, lore-rich world building is still there, and I think you would still get the same out of it, even if you tweak the gameplay slightly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, if they just want to kind of bring it up to modern standards, not a completely like let's ground up it, but bring a lot of that stuff back into modern standards, I think that would be totally fine. Can you imagine right now holding the Switch Joy-Con and having to blow on it?
That's a little too much. That's a little too much for me.
Hilarious.
I can honestly say that those are the types of things that Nintendo would do, and that's what I'm saying. And I hate it. Don't do that.
I hate it too, but you already know. They're gonna be like, "Hey guys, blow into the HD Sense
Ocarina where you like plug it into it."
Yeah, God, that'd be hilarious.
Anyway.
That's all I had on the Lego stuff, though.
Right.
You got anything else?
Nope, that's it. That's all. I wrote it down, and that's all I kind of really knew about it. I was just like, "That's interesting. We can graze over that." But you gave me so much more insight to it.
I try, Now it's on. Oh, sorry.
I
please.
was going to go ahead and say we can move on to. Speaking of Zelda, then we can graze over this. But speaking of Zelda, the Prince of Persia dev said he would love to make a Zelda game.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did see that. That is interesting.
Where that goes, but just having interest in a game that I feel is very successful and it is done very well. I would love to see a Zelda 2 like a Zelda 2 remake, in the Prince of Persia style. Like how awesome would that be? Grapple shot, Master Sword, boomerang, wind abilities.
The interesting thing with that too is it's not completely like out of the realm of possibility because it's Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has already partnered with Nintendo on the Rabbids plus Mario games.
Right, there you go.
And so like this is definitely the bridge is already kind of built in a lot of ways. They just got to meet on it. And so not completely out of the realm of possibility. And now that Zelda has kind of hit the zeitgeist with Breath of the Wild, I wouldn't be surprised if they are looking to expand, their game portfolio with those partnerships, just like they did with Mario. Granted, obviously Mario's been in the zeitgeist way longer than Zelda has, but I mean, still, it's clear that they want to capitalize on Zelda. They now have Zelda selling, millions and millions and millions of copies, tens of millions of copies, and so they definitely want to capitalize on that. So I would not be shocked if something comes from this. I still think it's if I had to put a percentage on it, I think it's probably like 40% it would happen, 60% it won't. But I'll take those odds.
Okay. Yeah. I mean you brought another thing to my attention that I thought we were going to graze over. That's genius. And I love this. So I didn't even think about Ubisoft and Rabbids. Interesting.
Yeah. They've already got that bridge. I still, one of my favorite E3 moments is when, they first showed Rabbids and the guy comes out onto the stage and he shows it off and everything like that. And he's kind of, you can tell he's kind of nervous because Miyamoto's in the office. He's like, oh yeah, Miyamoto's here. And he's like, oh, he's like one of my heroes. And he, at some point, something, they say a bunch of stuff. And then they're like, oh, let's see what Miyamoto thought of the game. And he puts on like a grumpy face and is like thumbs down and then turns it up with like the thumbs up. And I'm like, Miyamoto, you're a fucking gem, dude. I love you.
He's
dude.
the best. He really is.
Yeah. But anyways, on to some less happy news. Riot has decided they need to join the layoff game and have decided to lay off 530 Riot employees, which equals out to be about 11% of their current workforce. They did do a huge write-up on this. I did read it. Kind of your general, PR, from a CEO. We got to do this for sustainability and all that kind of stuff, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think we'll get more into kind of the layoff stuff once we've kind of covered a lot of it. I'd love to talk about it in a more broader sense, but I will say, credit to Riot. They put the severance plan, what the severance plan is, in that open letter. And it's a banger severance plan. I mean, these people are going to get taken care of. So they're definitely not just kicking them out on the street and saying, good luck. So I am at least happy for that. It sucks that they lost their jobs, of course, but I'm glad that Riot is at least taking the step that a lot of these other companies aren't doing, in making sure, like, hey, we're not going to just kind of be like, well, life sucks, get on out. They're trying to take care of it as best as they can. But what's your thoughts on the Riot layoffs?
I don't have much to say on it, except for, I mean, just like always, it really stinks when people, these very talented people that clearly have been, I mean, I don't know if these specific people, but you can only imagine these are the lifeblood of what the game is, what the games are. And I mean, most of these are, and we can get into this later or now because it's part of Riot. And most of these are the Riot Forge stuff. And we have found out that they are shutting down.
Yes.
And which is very sad. And I can actually go down to my last notes that I had here for the Riot Forge disband. My thoughts initially on it were just, okay, they're probably doing what everybody's doing and trying to cut back for overhiring for the pandemic, which is typical in most of these companies, because tech did thrive during the pandemic. But I also feel like there is this like rush/push for AI, and I feel like there's no coincidence greater than all of these companies. I mean, it is year end, right, after 3 years of the pandemic, so I totally understand that. We're pushing into our fourth year now after the pandemic, so it's like, or after it started, so it makes sense that all these companies would be roughly about the same time. Seems like Bungie was a little early on this space. I should be on me. It seems like Bungie was a little bit early on this stuff, but we also have, I mean, we're going to talk about Microsoft cuts too, and we have the Riot completely disbanding Riot Forge. I think that this is also with the pandemic, but I think that we're seeing this push into just utilizing AI, even in the smallest of senses. I mean, they could eventually start to use AI in a lot of these spaces that they cut. Look at a lot of the spaces that they cut. Bungie did the same thing for community managers or social media teams and stuff like that. I mean, AI can easily run those teams. And now it's very unfortunate that these people are losing their jobs, but I mean, even in those smaller corners, AI could easily fill those spaces, and maybe they know that. Maybe they're moving towards that, and eventually it could be even more. But what I did want to ask you about the Riot Forge disbanding, two things. I'll first ask you, and we'll get your answer. But the first thing,
Sure.
Are the games just not doing well? I haven't really looked into this. Are they just not doing well? What is happening? I understand that doesn't translate to sales because they are clearly pretty good. But
yeah, I definitely think that they're pretty good. To answer your question, I actually did do research on this prior to us going live on a lot of this stuff. Actually, I spent a couple of hours reading up on some articles and everything, and checking some of the units sales for these Riot Forge games, and they aren't doing incredible. I mean, they make more off of a single skin than they make off of these games. To give insight, granted, this is only Steam insights. So we don't know. Song of Nunu was on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So I'm sure, it made plenty of money on those things as well. But you have to think the League of Legends audience is going to be largely on PC because that is where League of Legends is. That's where it was born, essentially, right? So Song of Nunu, as an example, gross revenue, it brought in about 1.4 million on Steam, and that's it. They make more on they've gone over numbers for skin sales before, and they make more on single skins than they made on Song of Nunu, their most recent title, and probably their best title. I haven't played all the Riot Forge games yet, but I played most of them, and I think Song of Nunu is probably their best effort that they did. And so, sold 1.4 million gross revenue, and then units sold, less than 60K units sold on Steam. So they're not doing incredible. I definitely do understand The Riot Forge news upsets me a lot, honestly, because it was one of my favorite things that Riot's done in the past few years. I don't really engage with League of Legends a ton anymore. I play it every once in a while and everything like that, but it's just not something that I dedicate time to. But I still love the League of Legends IP, the Runeterra IP. I think it's fantastic. I think they've done a great job building out a lot of these champions and these characters, despite them having to retcon like 80 things a year. They should probably start being a little bit better about that. But regardless, the IP is very good. It's a very solid foundation. I mean, we've gotten things like Arcane out of it, which was, some of the best television ever. And I'm saddened to see that Riot Forge is getting cast to the side. I do understand from a business perspective, because like I just said, we just went over, the sales aren't great. The sales aren't amazing, but I kind of wish that they would have realized this is a long-term strategy as the IP builds. Like every single one of these is an IP builder, and that's going to pay off big time in 10 years, 5 to 10 years. Whereas it does kind of feel, especially reading the open letter, it does kind of feel like they are casting Riot Forge to the side in favor of more short-term, sustainability, which, again, at the current rate that they're at, I get it from a business perspective. I just wish that they would see that it's the long-term investment that's important. And granted, I'm not a CEO or a businessman like that, but I do know the industry. And I know that stuff like this is going to be the key to building up IP and getting people to care about your products more, especially as game development costs continue to rise. You're going to need baked-in IP support, and Riot Forge was the perfect way to get that. And it's unfortunate that they're letting that go.
Okay, well, so I mean, I agree with that, and I'm with you. And this next part that I was going to ask or point out, I should say, is not necessarily a gotcha, because I agree with you fully, but my previous point about franchises branching out, it's not always best for them, because it's not lucrative in this case, and we have actual proof. And like we've talked about, Riot has a lush, world lore-rich franchise, very rich, very very rich. It's even in League of Legends itself, let alone spread out in their umbrella of games. But it's still falling short, and I wanted to mention this could be the same thing that you and a couple people in chat were mentioning about Destiny. We could have the same concept happen. We know that Destiny is lore rich and very world build heavy, but can it survive outside of the game itself? TV, I would guarantee it, because everyone loves to be a couch potato and sit down and watch TV. That's why Arcane does well, but Riot Forge did not. And so I don't think we get other media of Destiny outside of, it's like, yes, there could be other games. I kind of disagreed with you before, but I agree with you in a totality sense. Like, I think that there can be a game where you play as a warlock side scrolling and have teleport, similar to like Echo's Convergence kind of deal. But will it sell? Probably not, because people that are playing Destiny want to play Destiny. So, and the people that play League, at least the vast majority, like you said, they're on PC because they want to play League. And they do like the series, so they'll watch a show, but most of those people, clearly from the sales, aren't going to play Bandletale. Aren't going to play, and not Bandletale hasn't come out yet, but you know what I mean, aren't going to play Convergence. It'll probably be the same story, yeah. Right, so I mean, like, Sirens thinks that Bandletale looks so adorable and she wants to play it because it's, it's that similar cozy, cute game, but she doesn't play League anymore, so she kind of cares about the characters, but that is the absolute minority, and that's obvious. You know what I mean? And there's people like me. I mean, I know 20 people in my personal group of friends who all play League of Legends, or who occasionally play it, at least enough to, they have bought skins and spent probably well over $500 on that game alone, but I can say 0 or maybe one of them would ever touch, besides myself, would ever touch Convergence. So it's apparent that moving your franchise and branching it out into other forms of media isn't always the best case. Now, you got things like Pokemon and Star Wars and stuff like that might do well because they're established franchises that have been in the zeitgeist for an eternity. I mean, and they're so ingrained, and now, not to say Riot or League couldn't be that, but it clearly from what it is, it just ain't that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I worry for if Destiny wants to make those type, or Bungie in general wants to make those types of moves, because I don't think it works out unless you really. I think a TV show really sells it out, and the TV show has to be a banger. Because like Arcane did well, but I think I would say probably 70 to 80% are League fans, and 20% were like, "Oh, this is cool."
Interesting.
And I think
Do
Destiny
you
would do the
think?
same thing. Destiny would be amazing as a TV show. I mean, that world is incredible, but throwing your eggs out there on the other media basket's just not going to do it. I don't think.
Interesting. I do.
And it's only because
you're
of
not
the world
wrong.
we're in, right?
Mhm.
Like we're in this world where it's just consumerism. People don't want to play things that they don't already play. They don't want to, like, if you don't play a side scroller, you're not going to be like, oh well, I like this world of Destiny, I'm going to go play this side scroller. But everyone watches television. Everyone wants to consume media that they already consume. If you already watch TV, why not watch a Destiny TV show? I guess is my point.
I guess the way that I see it is I feel like, you bring up things like, Star Wars and stuff that's been in the zeitgeist forever, but the reality is, like, obviously due to the films they're in the zeitgeist, but I also think that a lot of the fervor for it comes from it being in other media. Like the people who really care about Star Wars aren't just consuming the movies. They're consuming video games, they're consuming books, they're consuming all the other properties that come out from it. And so the way that I see these games is essentially trying to do a similar thing just within the same medium, where you're essentially just trying to broaden the amount of people that you can essentially get the IP into that household, so that then, oh, League of Legends story, I played that game, so now I'm going to go watch Arcane season 2, or I watched Arcane season 2, and then I'm going to go play this game now that just came out. I feel like there is that, like, a cycle there that can exist. But I feel like, one, you have to keep the IP in that medium for long enough for it to develop, which, to Riot Forge's credit, I think they did. They released, I think, around 8 games total for it. And so they definitely, I feel like, did their due diligence. But I also wonder what the expectations for these games were. If Nunu was developed on a smaller budget and then it sold X amount of copies, like, would it have done more? I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I definitely don't disagree with you that it's dangerous territory, to say the least. It's definitely not going to guarantee a return on investment. But I just wonder. I guess I don't fear, but I do wonder. Eventually, your IP is going to run out of steam if it's all encapsulated in only a handful of products, like League of Legends. Like, if they just keep League of Legends and have Arcane, like, let's say those are the 2 big pillars in the 2 different mediums. If that's all you've really got your IP invested in, I feel like eventually that IP is going to become de-invested in, such as, like, from me, like, as a prior League player.
I agree with you there to a certain degree. I don't, like I said before, I think it's not what's a good move, because I agree with you, that is a good move to move it across multiple mediums. I guess I stand by it. I think the only real problem is the ecosystem. I mean, the League players don't want to play Convergence. The average League player does not want to play Convergence, and that's sucks. And Convergence might be an amazing game, or Runeterra. Well, even Runeterra. I mean, like, Runeterra takes this space of, like, it's a great card game. I think it's better than Hearthstone, but it's nowhere close to Magic the Gathering. And I saw a comment, and this makes so much sense. Now, this probably doesn't apply to every game, but I could say you could probably apply pieces of this to every one of the Riot Forge games. Runeterra might not be a Riot Forge game, but you know what I mean. It's a subsidiary. Yeah. So is that he said, well, I already play. He's like, I love Runeterra, and I do as well, so I can speak on this and agree with this. I love Runeterra, but I already play Magic the Gathering, and I can't play 2. Magic is just better. So why split your attention? Because it really, playing more than one card game, you're insane. And you can definitely play more than one game like Convergence, a side-scrolling boss fighter, Metroidvania style. Sure, of course you can. But is it rich enough to get 50 or more percent of these League players to come and play it? No, because it's 30 or 40 bucks. They're somewhat fairly priced, I think, if they were game defining. Or genre defining, like something like you've mentioned with Dread. You don't think Dread is a good game because games like Hollow Knight have done it better. You're in that same camp. You are the antithesis of these Riot Forge kind of companies, because you wouldn't bother playing Convergence only because, or you would bother playing Convergence only because you know it in like Echo from the League lore, but you wouldn't play it because it's just not as good as Hollow Knight. Why would you play it? Same reason you wouldn't play Dread. Or you don't, sorry, you did play Dread, but you don't enjoy Dread. You know what I mean? So it's the same concept. Like, why would I go play Convergence when I can just go play Cuphead? Or whatever, you know?
Sure. Insert comparable game here, essentially. I mean...
Like, why play Bandletale? I mean, it's cool that I have recognizable faces, but why play Bandletale? Or if Star Wars had a version of this... cozy cute game, why would I play those when I can just go play Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing?
I think a lot of it has to do with thematics. I mean, that's kind of what IP is, right? It's set dressing. You know, you're into an IP because you're into essentially the set dressing that it brings to said product. You know, you're into Star Wars because it's fantasy in space. You're into League because, you know, you're a degenerate or whatnot. You know, I'm just kidding. But
can relate.
But yeah, you know, I feel like it's thematics, and that's what can pull
for sure,
a lot
but
of
that's why I
forward.
feel like the TV shows and the consumable visual media is going to do better than the games where you have to apply a lot more time and investment to. Like you can finish the season of Arcane in a couple hours, whereas Convergence might be a 20-hour game that you might not even feel satisfied after you play it, and you spent $30, whereas Arcane you basically got for free because, let's face it, you didn't buy Prime for Arcane, you already have it.
So do you also think some of it could be just do you think it could possibly also just be that specifically the League of Legends audience is not as transferable as other IP? Like, do you think that players who play Destiny, do you think that they're going to be easy to transfer over to other types of games than somebody who plays League of Legends?
That's a good point. Yes, I do feel that way now that you mention it. I didn't really think about it before, but that is the point, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because, okay, what came first with Star Wars, besides, like, a giant script/book from Lucas? I mean, that's it. It was the movies. They were so massive and so big, and they've been out for 30 to 45 years, you know, and then boom, video games. And what do people like? Everyone watches shows. So starting off as a show is incredible. If they build up Arcane, maybe they have a shot to come back in. Because we haven't seen anybody from in Bandletale. I mean, look, okay, we'll use Echo since Convergence is actually out. If you watch Arcane but you've never played League of Legends, Arcane was good. Well, I didn't have enough time to like that Echo character, but he's interesting to me. Oh, here's his video game. I don't really know a lot about him. I'd like to see what he's about. You got a 50-50 shot of getting somebody in on that. That's not enough because Arcane's not big enough yet. I mean, it's been, what, 9 years, I feel like? 8 years since that first season? Like, it's been so long. It was like 2019, so it's been like 5 or 6 years. But still, dude, it's been an eternity compared to how most of these TV shows are just pumped out. Now, I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm just saying this could fly in with the problem, and I think that probably is it. Like the League of Legends player, it's not transferable because the League of Legends players play League of Legends not for the lore. It's just a bonus. Like the fact that we get a Darius and a Draven matchup or a Nasus versus Renekton matchup, and we're like, hey, did you guys know that they're brothers? That's cool to us, but we don't care. Ultimately, we care about just playing the game. It's just added like conversation. Whereas if you see it in the show, us nerds who already play the game are going to be like, that's really cool. I know those guys. But you're not getting anyone new. If you just establish that in the game and then make a game or a separate Riot Forge game about the two brothers and how they transformed into these animals because they were once human, and you give that lore-rich world building, people might care more about it. I think that you need a easier digestible, more consumable medium like a TV show, Arcane, to be wildly successful before you tackle these other things. I think they just got ahead of themselves because I still agree with you. This is the move, just not in the ecosystem right now because people like to watch TV. People don't like to play League of Legends. You're layman. Your layman person doesn't like it.
Yeah, of course. Interesting. Yeah, I think I agree 100% with that. I think that you're right in the way that the person who's playing League of Legends is playing it to play League of Legends, not to get something else to then go play something else. They're just not that type of gamer. I compare like a League of Legends player similar to like a Call of Duty player. They're just playing Call of Duty. They're not, maybe they'll jump onto like Apex here and there, but like that's kind of like your prototypical gamer. They're not going to go out and be like, oh yeah, let me go buy a cute game about Vandals. Like that's not the audience.
Right.
So realistically, I think you're right that you have to get that audience from another medium, such as, the TV show, to then get people in that. Or I bet if they had like something that was more player friendly to get into, like here's the weird thing is I feel like if they had Riot Forge and came out with like a Valorant game, I think that would actually probably do fairly well. Because I feel like that audience is probably more transferable.
Probably. I still don't think Valorant's as big of an IP. It's still massive, don't get me wrong, but it's not as massive as a lore-rich world build like League. But you know what? I think that so look, and this is something we're actually going to be talking about, I think. Let's see. Okay, no, I didn't write it down, but I meant to. While we're on the topic of Riot, we can go ahead and bring this up, and I think this transitions very well into this topic. The Riot MMO has been floating around. I don't know, you saw that, I'm sure.
Yes.
So there we go, Riot MMO. I think that's what does it because your League of Legends players all are going to go play that MMO, and then MMO players are going to see its popularity, just like New World. Now, New World might have fallen off a little bit, but everyone came into New World, and it was just some random game by Amazon. It was some random new game, but it was huge, right? League of Legends will be 10 times bigger than New World.
Oh, the League of Legends MMO is going to be like
world breaking.
It's going to be a milestone in game history.
Oh, I fully agree with that. And therein lies the issue and the solution, right? Everyone, like any gamer will just jump into an MMO because it's popular. I mean, look at PALWORLD. It's not an MMO, but this game kind of came out of nowhere, and people who don't play survival, people who don't play Pokemon, people who don't play, you know what? It's just massive because it's massive. The MMO will succeed from that sentiment. It will succeed because of League of Legends, and it will succeed because of Arcane. So you got Arcane on top, you got League of Legends on top, and then you have this MMO that will clearly be above all. It'll be above everything. And because of all that, then we can start branching out because MMO will pull in gamers like Sirens, but Sirens won't touch League of Legends because she gets stressed out.
Yeah, 100%.
But she will play that MMO because she loves MMOs, and there can be casual.
See it, and bringing this back around, this is why it upsets me that they disbanded Riot
Forge because
I'm like,
that's what
I'm like you guys. It's like we're a couple maximum. I think we're maybe like 3 years out from the Riot MMO, and I think that's maximum. And so I'm like, we couldn't have just kind of kept this thing. Like even if it was a money sink, I still think that long-term value would have been huge.
The investment is definitely there. It's better.
It's better, yeah. And so I'm still upset that they disbanded it because I'm like, long term, you're gonna wish you had this. And I feel the same thing about Destiny, where I'm like, start this now. That way, in 10 years, once you've had your TV show and you've done all this other stuff, like this thing's already kind of greased up and rolling, and you're not gonna have to like panic. You'd be like, oh shit, we need more products for our IP.
Do you think that it would be better? Do you think it's actually better to be this long-term investment? As in, you mean as the company, not the games? Because I feel like the company is fine, whatever. You might want a good team, and they seem like they have a good team. But could they not just encapsulate the team later, or have not done any of these projects at all yet, and then use the future 3 or 4 years later technology to then create these games? Like, imagine if none of these games existed. Is the world different? No, because they didn't sell well, so no one cares. No game is coming out to try and the Ruined King. No game is trying to do that. Otherwise, because it would have been genre defining, but it wasn't. So, and same with any of the other games. those games come out later after the MMO, they succeed. At least more. They at least double. I guarantee they double sales.
Yeah. They definitely do better. But so to me, the long-term investment from doing it now versus later is a couple of different things. I'll be quick about them. One is you learn how to manage the IP better because all these games are made with partnerships with different studios. And so there's going to be hiccups in those partnerships that you as a team are going to have to learn how to overcome versus Riot MMO comes out, shit, we need to partner with a studio to come out with more products to expand our IP. And you kind of throw it together. And then that, because it was all kind of hobbled together and you didn't have people who were like close to the IP. Now it's like got some like weird retcon stuff in it, stuff that's not like, congruent with the IP anymore. So then that's going to upset the fan base and all that kind of stuff. I think it just helps with learning how to manage what you expect from your partners out of those projects. You kind of get a good guidebook to, hey, when our partners ask about this stuff, about story stuff, or about how we want to implement gameplay, we've already got a plethora of answers because we've already done this song and dance with several other partners. And we've learned how to overcome a lot of those challenges within those partnerships. And I think that's the biggest get from having it be long-term is that you're going to be greased up and ready to go. You're going to be just completely full steam ahead. Oh yeah, you want to add another partner to the project, to the portfolio? Perfect. Slot it in right here and we'll chug right along. It's not going to be, oh shit, we got to get like 10 people from this department and 5 people from this department. We got to get these people over here and these people over here and we got to talk to them. It's not going to be
already ready for the demand or whatever, right? That's fair.
They're already ready for the IP explosion, essentially. And granted, like I would totally accept an argument of like, is that really worth keeping something limping along for 3 years? That's not going to make you money. Maybe not. And I think that's pretty much what they saw is they're like, when it's time for us to do this again, we'll do it again.
And they already have the experience.
And they have the experience, but I guess I wish they would have more experience to back it up. But
maybe I wish they just kind of put the timeline a little bit closer together instead of waiting so long. You know what I mean? I think that's
that, or just shrink down the amount of projects that you are doing. I think it would have been good to keep Riot Forge around and just have them do like one project a year. Granted, at that point, is it worth justifying keeping it around? Who knows? That's for the the bean counters in the back, but all I know is that I'm upset about it. And then the other, the last thing that I'll kind of graze over with the whole Riot letting people go, kind of in a similar vein, Legends of Runeterra, the team behind that, is actually one of the teams most affected. They are scaling back the game. They basically said it's not profitable anymore. It hasn't been profitable basically ever. It has been kind of just being hoisted up by all the other games. And so they are shrinking it back. They're not canceling it. They're not ending support. They just said now they are going to focus specifically on the PvE aspect of the game called Path of Champions, which is primarily what I play in the game anyways, since I am one of the few people that does play a lot of Legends of Runeterra. I
can vouch for that. I do see you on that quite frequently. I do like the game. I enjoyed it a lot. I played it, dude. I probably played it for like 2 or 3 months straight when it came out. I was addicted to it because I went from Hearthstone because Magic Arena hadn't been out, or I maybe wasn't privy to it yet. But I played a lot of Magic. But I was like, I need some type of card game fix on my PC. While Cockatrice was down, which was like a free program where you could test your decks and stuff. And so I played Hearthstone. I was like, it's okay. It satiates it a little bit, but it's not enough. And then I went to Runeterra and I was like, damn, this is good. It's like a mix between Hearthstone and Magic. It's like right on that boundary, and they did a good job of making their own mechanics unique and fun. It pulled me in. I spent some money on it and stuff, but then I got Magic and I had to leave it. It's not as good as Magic. It's just not.
Yeah, I like it.
I do like the PvE thing, so that is a good point.
Yeah, the PvE thing is great. That's why, while I am sad that they're shrinking down the team, at least they're still working on the thing that I mostly play. So I'm like, all right, I guess we'll see how this ends up going. I just don't know. The problem with Legends of Runeterra, I don't know how you make it profitable. Not even from like a player base standpoint. It's just that they literally are too good to their players.
Yeah.
You can get cards so easily and never have to pay a dime. It's so easy. Like when new sets come out, I can almost completely get them for free. And any of the ones that I can't get, I can just get from playing a little bit of that set, and they give you more rewards. So I literally just don't know how you make it profitable from the standpoint that they would want it, because they literally are just too good to their players. It's not like Hearthstone where it's like, yeah, pay us money for digital card packs, or even Magic, like pay us money for digital card packs. It's like, no, you can earn it all with like in-game stuff that you get like out of pretty much anything you do. It's like, here's some in-game money.
If you're pretty good at Magic and you play it as like I wouldn't say your primary game, but one of them, you can get away with not spending a lot of money unless you really aren't that good. If you're pretty good,
Yeah.
if you're pretty good at the game, you actually win a lot of your card earnings.
Yeah, and plus like drafts and all that stuff that I know they do and all that. So.
Yeah, and the drafts are free if you are good. Pretty much. If you're good, you can continuously buy back in for free.
Yeah, so I am not too optimistic about the future of Legends of Runeterra. I do think, once again, I don't know how you make money off of it. So I think it ends up probably dying in the water within the next couple of years. But who knows? Maybe they turn it around with this new focus on the PvE side and kind of turn it into a different game, a PvE card game. That could work, So we'll see.
It'd be interesting to see.
And since we're on just layoff station right now, let's just keep it going with the layoff news. With the big megaton that came out, which was Microsoft cutting close to 2,000 jobs, 1,900 jobs roughly, and specifically, as well as Blizzard's president Mike Ybarra leaving the company, which has also led to Blizzard's survival game being canceled. This was the big one that came out. Huge amount of layoffs. I mean, this one at least was a little bit more expected, I guess you could say, because of the merger. I mean, yeah, the merger is just like, there's no way that you're going to combine two giant publishing units and not have overstaffing issues. You don't need
the pandemic issue that we spoke of earlier.
Plus the pandemic issue. Like, I'm sure that if it was just from the merger, it probably would have been a couple hundred jobs. Maybe like 700-800 jobs or something like that. Whereas, yeah, now because of all the pandemic and kind of the industry trying to fix itself, it has ended up being a lot more jobs. And fun fact, except for it's not very fun, we are already 63% of the way to last year's layoff number. And it's not even the end of January yet, everybody. We still got the whole year to go. So yeah, the industry is going through a lot of change right now. What do you think about it, HB?
I don't really have much else to say other than what I've already said about the riot stuff. I just genuinely believe that it was due to overstaffing, which is pretty obvious considering the pandemic, and then obviously the potential AI use. And Microsoft, even more so than Riot, speaks to me with the AI thing, even if they haven't said it yet, because a lot of them, Microsoft's all about accessibility. AI can really help with that type of stuff and with machine learning, stuff like that. And also, Microsoft is Bing, correct? And Bing has already pushed a massive push on AI in their search engine. So why not in some of their jobs? So, I think that this is something that they're going to be kind of like curving into. As well, even if they haven't said it, I truly believe that that's where that's going to go. As far as Blizzard president leaving, I don't know what is going on with that. I don't know even where that even came from. I haven't heard his statements or anything like that. It really stinks that their survival game has been canceled, because it sucks when any game is canceled, because considering all these people put their life to these works typically.
To butt in real quick, 6 years of development on that game.
Yeah, so that's my point. It's like people put their lives into it, but they did get paid for it. But it does suck that they're fruits of labor, because they're artists. All of them are artists, and they're very talented people. Even if the company has turned into this mega corporation that only is money hungry, I almost kind of expect these types of things to be canceled and people to leave. Only from my opinion, I haven't heard anything from Mike Ybarra talk about anything. So this is only from my speculation. Is Blizzard has been going up and downhill at the same time for years now. I mean, Blizzard started off as like 11 people, and they were making very fun games that everybody wanted to play because they wanted to play their games. Now they're a corporate shill corporation that is just capitalist crap. And I won't get into the full economics of everything, but Jesus, it is very annoying to see a company go so uphill and downhill at the same time, that they're uphill in money but downhill in quality, and it's so frustrating. Now, I still think that Blizzard is on top of where they are because of who they are, and people still enjoy WoW for what it is. Both sides of WoW, the classic and retail. Same with Overwatch. There's still quite a bit of people that play Overwatch, and I know that maybe their MOBA didn't do so well, but it's in a world where their MOBAs are thriving in other places like Dota and League, so I get that. But I mean, this type of stuff is expected, but it saddens me to see that someone would have to work on something for so long and then it never gets released.
Yeah.
I do think that things like this, like we talked about, I think we talked about it last week, or I don't know where we talked about it. Maybe we did talk about it last week. But I think that these types of games where, because we talked about like these guys get like a tax write-off for these, right? Because it's flopped. So we talked about it maybe with movies, I think, with someone.
Movies is a big one.
And so movies get the tax write-off, and then movie just doesn't get released. Why can't games be the same way? I don't know if they get the tax write-off. I don't know the ins and outs of the business behind it, but just give us this unreleased game. I mean, 6 years, how far they could have gotten pretty far, or at least release the assets similar to Paragon did, or something. I mean, do something with this stuff. Don't just trash it or vault it, because I mean, people spent their lives on it. They want to see their fruits of their labor. I know assets get used all the time for these types of things. There was one game I think that did it. It was that. Paragon is the first thing that comes to my mind, but there was another like third-person MOBA game that did something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but I was super hyped for that, and that did something similar. But that's all I have to say about it. It's clearly overhiring and possibly AI stuff, typically. Not the Blizzard stuff, but the Microsoft cuts. So.
I want to introduce another aspect to it to you and see your thoughts on it. I also think that after researching a lot of this, because I went down a rabbit hole a couple of days ago around when the Microsoft cuts happened, because I really wanted to figure out, like, is this really just the pandemic? And what I kind of found is I don't think it's just the pandemic. I definitely think like the pandemic is a part of it. Do not get me wrong. Like the pandemic is a huge part of it. They saw, revenue increase. I think it was like somewhere around 95 to 96% year over year in the game industry as a whole. And now it's crashing back down to being like 5% year over year. So it's still growing. It's just not like, 100 times, every single year. But I also think that I feel like we've actually probably been trudging towards this for a really long time. And I think this Blizzard game is honestly a perfect example of it, where 6 years, man, to develop a game. Like, I feel like we've just kind of been stacking a lot of issues on top of the game industry right now, which is development's taking way too long, which is making it cost way too much, which means you now have to do all these shitty practices to try to make back that money. The over-reliance on microtransactions and battle passes and all that kind of stuff, while still trying to keep a $60 price tag. Well, I guess $70 now, but was a $60 price tag.
6 years for $60 is a bit steep. Well, then I have a question for you then, because that's a good point. But what is the ideal time? 2 to 3 years then? Because, and I'm not, that's a kind of a rhetorical question, but maybe you can answer it, because otherwise we just get another Call of Duty. And do we want another Call of Duty every year? I mean, they're just copy and pasted. Of course they can make a Call of Duty every year, because obviously it's not exactly copy and paste. I'm not trying to disrespect the artists here, because they are working really hard. Probably too hard.
But it is built on a lot of the same framework. It is, they're not building stuff from the ground up. They're kind of like, okay, here's the Call of Duty framework. We're going to put this here.
So
our assets here.
Is that optimal? Is that what we want? Or do we, 6 years might be a long time, but do we meet in the middle? Is it 3 years? Is the optimization here, or what?
I think at any point where a game is taken over 5 years, I think historically you look at, except for right now, like I said, the past few years where we've been getting into those 6, 7, 8 year dev cycles. Anytime a game's taken over 5 years, I feel like you're kind of just treading water at that point. You're not actually really doing anything.
Well, plus you're probably overran by the new technology. You're
exactly.
By the time is a prime example of that.
Put it this way, I think that to answer your question, I think 3 to 4 years is the perfect time frame for a AAA game. as a perfect example, the the Star Wars Jedi series from Respawn, both of those games had 4-year dev cycles, and they're both fantastic. They both build on each other. The sequel builds on the first one greatly. They do a bunch of awesome, cool stuff, and it took them about 4 years to make it. And I think that's perfect. We got it. We didn't have to wait forever for it. And I think that's where the industry needs to get back to. And I think, we can kind of tie in some of the other things we were talking about, and even talk about one of the other news stories with CD Projekt Red. They're ramping up production on Witcher 4, and they're looking to use AI within their production. And, again, varying thoughts on AI between the both of us and just people in general.
Too in depth on that on this episode, but yeah.
But I think that's how they probably end up getting it closer back down to that level of being 4 years. But even then, I don't think AI is going to really fix a lot of the problems. I don't think, with Blizzard's canceled game, I don't think if you added AI into the mix, I don't think you would shave off 2 years off of that development cycle.
I still think that if AI is where it will be in a few years, it would have shaved off that time, but it still might not make it a profitable thing because it might not be. It's still, just because AI is added, it definitely is going to shave off time, period. It's not going to be quality, though. That doesn't make it better quality. So I'm with you that it might not have stopped it from being canceled, but it definitely would have sped up a little bit. It has to. I mean, AI is 100,000,000% more efficient than the human brain and hands.
It is, but as you said, it's not necessarily quality. So this is why I bring up that I feel like there's a lot of kind of justified fear around AI, but also AI is not going to be like just game developers not going to become prompt central, where you're just entering in 500 prompts and bada bing, bada boom, you've got your game. AI's quality is bad. And so any AI that you're going to use, even in the next few years, is still going to have a human touch. Hey, make me this 3D model.
Yeah, it's not someone's
still going to have to go in there. Yeah, and so that's why I think that like adding AI to the mix with these games, I don't think would shave off a ton. I think that pre-production, it'll probably help out a lot. For example, like with CD Projekt Red ramping up for The Witcher 4, they're like, oh, we got all these concepts. Let's throw them into a prompt real quick, see what kind of works, see what kind of doesn't. And then we can be like, all right, cool. We're going to work off of some of this stuff. Other artists, take this. What do you think of it? What works? What doesn't work? How can we make this happen? I think a lot of that pre-production, figuring out what the game is going to be, can definitely be more refined by AI. But I think the actual game dev process is still going to be largely human based. I don't think that we're going to see a point where it's like the game's 50% AI, 50% humans or anything like that. I think at best we get to a point where it's like 10 to 20% is maybe AI, and then the rest is human. And even then, that 10 to 20% is going to be non-perceivable by.
I see it as less of a percentage in the early stages in terms of that, because it would be indistinguishable to figure out what percentage it technically would be. In the early stages, it's just going to be tools, and we don't have to get too into that because we've already talked about it. But basically, it's going to be, hey, I need this line of code that's going to take me, not line of code, but it's like pages of code, like full straight down. We're going to have hundreds of lines of code. Instead of just copy pasting it, which doesn't take that long depending on what you're doing, but you would still have to go in and fine tune each line. You can say, I need this out of each line, I need this out of each line, and I need 1,000 lines to determine whether XYZ is happening, and here's the cause and effect of each of what I want. And there will be a plug and play aspect of even coding. That's going to be the easier side of AI, and that expedite. I mean, imagine if that took you sitting down 2 to 3 hours. That's going to take an AI 12 seconds. So, if you go into percentages of time, not percentage of how much AI is doing the work, but a percentage of time, not only are you shaving off 2 years, you're shaving off much more than that, because that's thousands of percentage, if that's the majority of your time sink. So
sure,
that and same with art, it starts to become a whole different thing. So you're shaving off a ton of time, but yeah, of course you're going to need a human. We're always going to need a human for the most part. I mean, we're not going to live in Wall-E world until we're probably dead.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully. I don't want to get to that point.
I don't want to be in that world.
but yeah, I definitely think with iteration, it's definitely going to help out a lot. Where instead of me, okay, I made this code, this is how I want it to work, but also I want to test how it's going to work with like these 10 other parameters. Then sure, don't just you're not going to have to rewrite the code anymore. You can just say, hey AI, I have this code block that I made. Take it, add these iterations to it, see how it works, show them all to me. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, this one feels best. I'm going to use this one. Go from there. Keep on writing code. And I think that's going to end up being what a lot of your AI ends up being. Is it's going to be run a lot of simulations for me, basically. Hey, Jarvis, run a bunch of simulations for me.
And
how does this
if
stuff?
that's where it stopped, then HP is a happy boy, but that's not where it stops. So we know that.
I think in game development, that's where it's going to largely, there will be some creep over, but I think that's going to be where it largely stops. I was doing a lot of research on like AI tools and stuff like that, and I just don't see a world at this point. I mean, obviously AI is going to get stronger, so I could totally be wrong, and I'm totally willing to be wrong on this, but I just don't see a place where like when Witcher 4 comes out, anything viewable by the human eye is going, or by the person playing the game, is going to be human generated. I don't think we're going to get to a point where like I think maybe they would use AI to give them a head start on an art asset, but then you put an artist to work on it. Now, granted, that does mean you're going to need less artists, because now artist A doesn't need to spend 3 months on 3 models. Now they can spend 3 months on 15 models, because AI kind of did the heavy lifting in the beginning, and now they just have to go in, that doesn't really look good, let me clean that up. Oh, I think we kind of want to go this way with this art style. I think we want to go this way with this. And I think that's where it's going to end up becoming a lot easier. It's kind of like almost like, I brought this up on Twitter, and you kind of called me out on it in a way, but the whole synthesizer thing, back when synthesizers first came out, you used to have to go in and set all the parameters yourself. You had to go in and be like, okay, I need to tweak this, tweak this, tweak this. Okay, now I have kind of a violin sound. Whereas now in my music software, I can go click violin sound, set properties, boom, I've got a violin sound. And so I think that's going to be closer to what we get to is I'm not going to have to do the nitty-gritty.
If that's the case, I'm happy. That's amazing. But we know that
this is what I'm trying to tell people.
No, that is amazing, but that's not you cannot be so like blind to see that AI, that's not the only thing that's going to be used.
I think we
had revenge porn of AI Taylor Swift come out just this week. That's already happening, and it looked realistic, and that's disgusting. And those people should be prosecuted to the highest degree that they possibly can. And they probably will be, but that stuff is going to be plentiful. We're going to get to a point, and this is aside from game development, and what you're saying is a beautiful world that I want to live in, where AI is a tool to be used to help, but that's not the only thing. And so that's where the problem lies in, because you can't stop it from going further. And we've already seen it with this AI stuff this week with Taylor Swift and much more. And you're going to get to a point where in the court of law, there is going to be no way to distinguish real evidence from generated evidence. So eyewitness testimony is going to be the new thing. That's insane.
Yes, I don't agree. The real world applications of AI definitely are a lot more nebulous and have a lot more problems that are going to arise from it. I'm specifically more so talking about as a tool to be used. I don't think anyone would disagree with you. There are a lot of people that would disagree with me, because once again, I'm not going to say there's no downside.
No, but the way it could go, yeah, I could see some pushback.
You're going to have you're not going to have as many artists. There's not going to be as many jobs. Just like how, when they switched over with the trudge of technology, there's always going to be loss of jobs and everything like that. That doesn't mean it's going away. Like I said, you're never going to see a AAA you might see 1 or 2, and then you'll never see it again. You'll see 1 or 2 AAA projects that are largely AI, and then they're going to be awful and terrible. And they're going to go, all right, cool. We're never doing that again. We'll use it for this instead, and then we still need to have humans go the rest of the way. And so that's more so my argument. I definitely am totally with you on the real world applications, like things that can actually happen out in the real world outside of game development. That is a lot more nebulous and definitely needs to have more regulation around it.
Oh, for sure. But the learning models that are used are the same learning models that are used anywhere else. Like anything that you're using for the ChatGPT text, to the DALL-E, to the pictures, to the videos, to the video games, to the lines of code, to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all the same. It's still AI. That's like saying, well, this human is different from that human. That's not the case. AI is the same. Humans are the same. We're all human, and AI is all AI. They're all encompassing. They might specialize just like humans do, but they all are moving in tandem to go exponentially. Not even exponentially. It is like astronomically fast. And we'll see it in the next 5 years. And I think the real world, that the tool to be used, fantastic. I would never argue that. But it's not going to be the only thing that happens. Because I love that.
Of course.
That is genius to use it to expedite your processes. The guy that's using it for lines of code to do it fast is the same guy, the synthesizer argument. Love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Expedite it. Now, some people might lose their jobs. That's sad. World we live in. That happens all the time. As sad as it is, I'm okay with that's the nature of automation, and this is just another form of automation.
But also the thing that I'm actually excited for with AI in game development, well, I'm going to start putting that asterisk on it. AI in game development.
Yeah, because I'm going to always push back if it's not just the game development side of it. Because
yes,
but that's just the problem, is it's not. So.
Yeah, and I totally get that, which is why, I think a lot of regulations need to come into play with AI. But in game development, the nice thing is that even though a lot of people may lose their job, which obviously, as we talked about, it's going to suck, the tools are going to be so available now at this point that you're now going to be able to have a lot more indie developers and even AA developers. And that's going to really help that space. Because right now we have a big problem in the game industry where you've got mega ultra AAA game that took $350 million to make, and then you've got, I built this game on a shoestring budget. And there's not a ton of in between right now. We need to get back to where there's a little bit more of an in between.
Well, yeah, because then I feel like that's where ideas will shine too. So I'm with you, because because AAA is we're losing with AAA companies, like, and going back to Blizzard, they were a team with a dream, and now they're a corporation looking for money. So that it's less about what's good and more about what's addictive to make money.
Yes,
and single A, AAA, or tier 1 through 3, as we would like to call it, developers are in the mode of like, I want to make something that's fun for people still. That group of people still want to make something fun. So AI usage for those people is going to be incredible, because they're going to be actually able to realize and actualize their dreams.
And make it quickly and make it more cost effective. You know, you're not going to.
No, I'm for that.
I can't make this weird game right now because it's going to take me 5 years and it's going to sell, 50K units. It's not going to be worth it. But if I can get to the point where it can help expedite my process, then boom, you've got a huge AA boom, a tier 2 through 3 boom, where it's like, awesome. Now we've got all these crazy ideas happening and people can do it and not have to go broke on it, not have to close studios and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's in the long run.
Microtransactions, because it's much faster consumer.
It's much faster. You can make especially if you're making like a AA game, pump those out now. Instead of having to take 4 years on it, you can take like 2 or 3 now, so you can have much more turnover in your products.
I mean,
so that's why.
I'm not gonna lie. I hope that one day it can help me make the game that you're in my game development team, and I still haven't told you about the game. I have it such under wraps that I can't tell anyone, because if I can ever get the tools or the team fully, because we're gonna need a bigger team than us 3 to make the game that I want to make, then I am all in if AI can help me do that.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's my point with the whole AI thing, and why I think CD Projekt Red, using AI in Witcher 4, I don't think is going to be a bad thing. Going back to the story, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. It'll make it so that we're going to see Witcher 4 within the next 5 to 6 years of our lives instead of the next 10.
Right.
And it's not going to cost, $80 bajillion. It's going to actually be able to make money so that we hopefully don't have as many layoffs. And so I do think we're in a weird spot in the industry where we're just seeing a lot of this stuff kind of crunch down. And I'm hoping that, they've already said this year's going to be bad for layoffs. It's probably going to bleed into next year too. But I'm hoping by late 2025, 2026, I'm hoping the industry's in a lot more stable and sustainable place where we're not just like, oh, COVID happened, let's just ramp everything, to a crazy degree. I'm hoping we're in a much more sustainable place. And I'm really, really hoping because a bunch of, I read some articles where CEOs are talking about this stuff, and they're like, yeah, games are too expensive to make right now. So I'm really hoping that we get to a place where we kind of get that. Yeah, exactly. We already know. Yeah, Spider-Man took $350 million, almost as much as the 3 newest Spider-Man movies, which is insane.
It's definitely not making those money back.
It ain't making that money
in terms of the movies in comparison. So
yeah, it ain't making that money back. And so I'm hoping that this leads to the rise of AA stuff. Give me a smaller title. I don't need a 40-hour Spider-Man game. I need like a 7 to 10 hour Spider-Man game. I don't have all the time in the world, Sony. Cut down your games.
Right. And then cutting down production will allow them to be able to do that.
Exactly. All right. That's enough with the layoff AI conversation, unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, cool.
And then we have we can touch on a couple of good things. We can mention the PALWORLD thing if you want to talk about that. Graze over that just because that's all we've gotten, and I think that's all we're gonna get if I'm being honest.
All right, the Pokemon Company responded to the PALWORLD and the internet being like, guys, they copied Pokemon. This is verbatim. We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world, and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. Which
basically means they know it and they don't care.
Essentially, they're like, guys, we get that it looks like Pokemon. We don't care.
Yeah, and they're saying that they're going to investigate it means we hear you, and we'll check if they have Pikachu in there, basically. But if they don't have Pikachu in there, we don't own triangles and circles. So, and penguins and deer, which is what everybody's getting at. And I fully agree with that. And Pocket Pair has already stated that they're not worried about it because they haven't plagiarized anything. I mean, not more than Nexomon, Koromon, Temtem, Cassette Beasts, and the other 1,000, which I want to make a video on, the other 1,000 creature capturing clones out there. And there's some that are on mobile. I don't remember the names of them, but there's some that are on mobile that are literally the same everything of Pokemon, down to the same sprites that they use, basically, just slightly different. And then you even start with getting the 3 starters, and you take it with an actual Pokeball, which I don't see how they're not sued for that, but Nintendo comes after random people that create a ROM hack. It's whatever, but anyway, yeah. So that's a little weird, but weird. But neither company seems to be worried, and if everyone can just calm down a little bit, Japan's laws are completely different than the U.S., so they know what they're doing, and it's a completely different thing, and it would be a national suit, not an international suit, because they're both companies are based in Japan. So it had like all these people from the United States thinking that they know what's going to happen with their laws and stuff. You're absolutely wrong, or just misinformed.
Yes. And I want to double down on just calm down, everybody. It's not that serious. It's not that crazy. And also please learn like where Pokemon are based off of, because they're like, Lucario looks like this guy over here. And I'm like, no, they both look like Anubis, the Egyptian mythological god that they are both based
domain,
off of.
Right.
Who is in the public domain. No one has a copyright on the Egyptian god Anubis.
Or animals.
Or animal. No one has a copyright on a sheep.
Right. And then they talked about the cat and the Alolan Meowth or the Galarian Meowth, where they look like they both look like Cheshire Cat, and Cheshire Cat is just a bunch of triangles and circles for teeth. No, that's not.
Yep.
Indicative.
And even beyond that, if you look at that same Meowth thing, you know what it looks like? It actually looks like Cat Bus from My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
So it's like, chill out, everybody.
Inspiration does not equal plagiarism. That's the
Out.
ultimate thing we need to take away from this, everybody, especially from the United States. Inspiration is not plagiarism, and if they're investigating and they don't find anything, that's what it is. And really, for a lawsuit like that to even go through, they would have to prove that sales are being affected, and they're not. Because if you guys have played either Pokemon or Palworld, you realize they're not even the same game. It's not even close. Just because you throw a ball at something, you don't even throw it the same way. In Pokemon, you press a button from your backpack, which is an inventory system, and it automatically throws it. Palworld, that's the only thing that's even closely the same. And Palworld, you actually do the action. Palworld is more akin to Ark. If anyone would have any type of say, it would be Ark or Valheim or any of these other survival games. But it's not even that, because they don't own, none of those people own the genre. So stop it.
Yes, everyone just chill out. Pokemon Company doesn't need you to come and defend them. It's okay. It's okay. They're going to make bajillions of dollars when they come out with Pokemon Poopy Brown and Pee Yellow at the end of the
year. What I am excited for is to see if Palworld, because I heard a rumor that supposedly they're releasing another 100 Pals next month. That's a little too soon, but I adore the free content if that's the case. But what do you think?
I'd be surprised.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, considering the money that they've gotten, and you know, they probably already had some, because they've been working on this game for a while anyway. But I do have something interesting I thought about that I haven't really seen anyone talk about yet. When or if does Palworld get into the trading card game? Even if it's just not a game, but just trading cards, because that's fun. I mean, do they throw their eggs in that basket? I think that would be a fun thing to see.
I think you'd be a while off from that. I think that like we still have to see if Palworld ends up making it through.
I would say CCG, a collectible card game. I would.
Yeah, I think that we still have to see if Palworld makes it through the
infinite titles. Yeah.
Basically, like the first 6 months, I would say. I mean, so far they're doing pretty good. They're releasing updates already pretty frequently, fixing bugs and stuff like that. So, yeah. I mean, so far, so good. I mean, and the roadmap they released sounds awesome.
Yep.
So, I mean, it sounds like they got a good plan. If they keep the kind of cadence that they got going on right now, I mean, I definitely think I've found my survival game, and I think it's Palworld. I think that's the, you know, I used to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go play Minecraft for 2 weeks, you know, every year, and that'll kind of be my survival game hit for the year. And now it's Palworld. Now I'm like, no, like I'm gonna go into Palworld and see all my buddies and be like, yo, what's up? All my little pals, my dude Chillit, that's my boy.
Yeah. I think Quiver is my favorite so far. He's so fun. He's so
Quiver in school too. I just got one of those. But yeah, I'm very interested to see if they make it through this like infant stage, and if they get to a 1.0 release, because that is one thing, you know, the one kind of criticism I will give to Pocket Pair is they have another game that's still in early access and has been in early access for a while called Craftopia.
But I feel like this is going to get a lot more love, if we're being honest.
This obviously has made significantly more money than Craftopia did. But I'm just hoping that means that they are going to be able to follow up on the success and basically not fumble the ball and end up in like early access hell, like a lot of games end up being.
Yeah, they usually early access they have an actual plan. Doesn't also make $8 million in an hour or so.
Hey, what DayZ I think is still in early access technically.
Yeah,
and that game's definitely made millions of dollars.
I don't even understand how. I don't know. I don't understand that game.
7 Days to Die, I think, is another one that's technically still in early access, and that's definitely made a lot of money. So it's not unheard of. Granted, none of them made as much money as Palworld has, but it's not unheard of to make a lot of money and still end up in that early access hell.
And then we have just a couple things to just touch on if you want to start.
Sure, yeah. Penny's Big Breakaway, 3D platformer, coming soon from the devs of the best Sonic game in years. I keep on hearing this, and I have actually not even seen it once. So you talk about it while I look up a YouTube video.
That's all I really wanted to say was just, if you're a fan of the Sonic games or 3D platformers, be on the look for Penny's Big Breakout. Because, and I'll put it on screen here for those watching the, those watching. Oh, you're still screen sharing with me, by the way. I heard that.
Yeah, no, I muted it.
Good. Okay, and I'm going to throw this up on screen for those watching the video pod here. Just a little gameplay sneak peek. This was brought to my attention this week, and I think that it looks cute. It's interesting to see this like yo-yo style underneath him. It reminds me of what they tried to do with like Spark the Electric Jester, which I think did 3D Sonics well. So I haven't played that, and I still want to. So this is a game that's on my radar. I love 3D platformers. It looks very cute. It looks a little less personal for me in terms of how close you are to the kind of the camera for these types of games. It looks a little bit more open. Oh shit, am I not showing this? Holy crap!
Interesting.
Hold on.
Yeah, looks okay. I don't know. I've never been the biggest Sonic guy, other than Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Man,
Or
Frontiers is fantastic.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you talked about that. Gotta hear that Kellen Quinn belting all those songs out for you when you're fighting
so
bosses.
good.
You know.
I don't think that it's for everyone, but I do think that if you always wanted a good Sonic game, that's your one. I love 2 Battle as well because it was one of my favorite games as a kid. It doesn't hold up. It is very janky and very buggy. And the controls are not very intuitive, but it does have a Chow Garden.
Oh, Chow Garden, bro, man. Me and my buddies, we spent way too much time in the Chow Garden. You know?
I probably spent more time in that than I did the real game.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, same.
And which is where it comes in with PALWORLD. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're creature capturing and loving on our little pals.
Man, I should play some PALWORLD tonight.
I'm probably going to after we play some Gears 5. But yeah, so this is the game. It's not nothing. I didn't want to stick on it too much. Just to show you guys to be aware if you're into 3D platformers. Here's what looks to be like a decent game. It's from the good Sonic creators. So check this out.
You know, kind of talking behind the curtain. We should have a section like every week that's like, we just want to show you a game. We think it looks cool.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about that.
This is the we got a game that we think looks cool section. We'll name it later.
I typically would like to put these in. I like that as a segment better than what I do, because like this, and I also the next news is for about Last Epoch. I didn't know anything about either one of these games, but I put them on the news because I didn't think we were going to get such fat news this week, but we did. So I put them on here because it was Tuesday, and I was like, oh crap, Tuesday, there's no news already. Typically by Monday you have some news. Late Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, give me the news. I didn't have anything, so then I was like, oh, well, here's 2 games, and I was like, oh crap, 7 billion layoffs in a day, So we got a lot of news. I didn't really need to put this up here, but here it is. Same with Last Epoch.
The entire world got laid off.
Pretty much.
I mean, hey, we're getting there. But yeah, Last Epoch, skill-rich Diablo-style ARPG finally coming out next month. That's one genre that I feel like has just died on the vine for me personally. Not like the greater world. Obviously, people still love them, but I haven't really been able to get into action RPGs for a while. Like those top-down kind of like isometric style ones. I don't know why. I just can't really get into them anymore. I think it's just a genre that's just not for me anymore, which is unfortunate, but
I just don't think I have enough time to put into it because I feel the same way. The sentiment's the same. It's all right. They're fun. I haven't seen anything on this, so maybe it's good. There was a game, not Lost Ark, but there was another game that I can't remember the name, so it doesn't matter. But there was a game that they were implementing like combo fighting into their isometric. So it's like you have your buttons and you press your keys to do your abilities, but you also have to press them in like certain orders because you're doing like Street Fighter-esque combos. So it's kind of a mix between a combo fighter and an action RPG. And I thought that was a pretty cool concept, but I don't know whatever happened to that game. And I don't remember. I'll report back if I remember, but it was a similar concept to Lost Ark. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a Korean game. I think it's actually out in Korea, but it never came here.
I think that is Lost Ark because that was a Korean game.
There was another one though. It was another one.
Oh, okay.
But that is one of them for sure. Because I had that one and the other one on my radar, and I just don't remember what the other one was called. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really too into them now, especially since Diablo, my favorite one, kind of went down the wayside. Diablo 3 was fun. Diablo 4 was a flop, and for me in terms of like gameplay is still great. It's still Diablo. But they kind of ruined the story-rich and world-rich that I did enjoy from like Diablo 2 and how it felt, just lore-heavy, and like they actually gave me good cutscenes, whereas I feel like Diablo 4 was a bit shafted in the world-building aspect. But whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not too into it either anymore.
Well, this has been your we have a game we want to show you section. So I got to start looking at a bunch of games I want to show you guys because, oh man, does my Steam wish list for upcoming games, boy, is it large. And boy, are there a lot of games that I want to play. And that is all the news.
I do have
that
one
we
small
got.
thing, and I just because I think that this is incredible, I did put it in here. Doesn't warrant any talking other than just the title. Over 2 million Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 players have been punished for disruptive voice chats. Thank God we're actually doing something to toxic behavior, because if Riot could move into that's what we need. Now they do a good job. Riot does a pretty good job, but I feel like if we could just heighten that up a lot more, like obviously balance it, because trash talk is not there's a difference between toxicity and trash talk. But hate speech and all that stuff needs to just get the hell out of these fun, relaxing spaces. That's all I have to say about that. Good on you for punishing those players.
Agreed. I 100% agree. So that's all the news that we got for this week. HP, do you have anything else for us this week?
That is all we have. A little bit of sad news. Fun. I'm super into the quiz that we're doing back and forth. It's very fun.
Quiz is fun.
If I don't do one next week, I'll do it the following week. But probably be prepared for probably another quiz, and I'll try to do a little bit more research onto what you've played and what you haven't played, so I can fine tune it a little bit more and get you in the sticks a little bit, like you did me today. It was very fun.
Okay, sweet. I'm looking forward to it, and I will have a new Operation Smarts next week too, as well. And I'm keeping the name, damn it. I decided I'm keeping the damn name.
I love it.
Well, HP, where can people find you when you're not doing damage check?
You can find me at Heretic Plays on anything. There might be an underscore, there might not be. You'll figure it out. Just type in Heretic Plays on any social media, because some of them are there, some of it's not there. You search Heretic Plays. I should be the only one, if not the more popular one that pops up. If there is another one, I think YouTube might have one other guy, or Twitter might have another guy, but it doesn't matter. You'll find me. And that's Heretic Plays at any social media.
And you got any cool stuff coming up right now?
Nothing too crazy. We were working on the Riot thing, or the League of Legends thing, but that's neither here nor there right now. So mostly focusing on this podcast and Siren's videos at Siren's Sketches on YouTube. So check her out. And that's the biggest things that we're working on. I am doing a video essay here soon. I want to do one about PALWORLD.
Oh yeah.
And I do want to do one about AOT. So it's not gaming related, but I do want to pay tribute to Hajime Isayama, because I think he's a brilliant mind that absolutely deserves my time for a video. And Ford, how about you? Where can
you can find me as Fjord, ES Fjord in most places. Right now, I'm currently playing through the Yakuza 0 for my Yakuza in Review, where I am ranking and reviewing every Yakuza game. After that, we'll be getting back into the Final Fantasy with Final Fantasy V. You can find me here on Twitch. You can find me on YouTube. YouTube videos coming a little bit slower than I like. Bear with me. I'm not good at editing yet, but they will be there. And otherwise, just keep an eye out. We got a lot of cool projects, even stuff that me and HP are working on that I haven't told HP about yet, because I've been working on it in secret. But we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. It's going to be a great year for us. So just keep on checking out Damage Check. Damage Check's the best way to find us.
There you go. That's it. And that's been your weekly wreckage with Ford and HP. Until next time, gamers.
See ya.
See ya.